All right, my video today is why use analogies and in your stories to get like your message across. If you're trying to tell a message, why use any of that? Does it really help? What's the pros and cons of all of that? Using analogies and stories like The Matrix or something as simple as Animal Farm to kind of get your message out there. Does it really work? What do you should you do it? So that's what I want to talk about now. Not really wrote an essay on any of this, so I come off straight off the dome, just like if I was at a panel or an interview, somebody was to ask me my question, because that came up. We were talking about Lovecraft Country, and they were asking about the message, and somebody said, in Lovecraft Country, they're pushing that agenda, and I said, to be honest, every story has a damn agenda, right? If you want to say it as an agenda, or you can say every story has a message, right? So on the larger question is, do you come direct with your message, or do you come indirect? And a lot of times that is a question of analogies, okay? So if I wanted to do a story, which I really do, about the political climate in America, Black Lives Matter being formed as a hashtag, and what it's like being on the inside of an organization like Black Lives Matter, which I've never been on the inside of Black Lives Matter, but I have been on the inside of political revolutionary organizations in their beginnings and functioned on how they operated. Probably one of the more successful ones I was a member of was the Black Neoforce, operated out of Newark, New Jersey, and later produced the mayor of Ras Baraka. So you can see what that was all about. Now, also in various other organizations, New Jersey coalitions, Black Student Union when I was in college, and I would say, my Black Student Union probably even is more, if not just as successful as the Black Neoforce, because we have a range of people that reach throughout city governments throughout all of New Jersey. And if you include me, probably even there's people outside of New Jersey. And I'm not really in government, but I'm still doing things in the line of what we did when we were at our Black Student Union, okay? And utilizing the very many of the same connections and contacts that we had when we were in college. So that's one thing, right? And what I wanted to do with my story was to be very specific. A lot of people don't understand how manipulative the media can be, how fake news works, and fake how propaganda works, right? And people don't realize those things, and how it is to be in an organization and combat those things. So if I was to use Black Lives Matter, QAnon, Antifa, Anonymous, right? The NAACP, the Black Church. If I was to use all these organizations in a story, government, right? In a story, I would probably be held to factual accuracy, right? So that is the biggest downside, is that, even though you may deal with a fake president, right? You deal with real organizations, right? So then you either are telling the truth, and some organizations don't want their truth to be out there, or you are telling a necessary lie, or, well, it's a lie, but you may be trying to say something that they're not saying, or they don't say out in public, to get your story out there. And it's still a lie, right? It's propaganda, whatever the heck you want to call it. And so that comes your question, and it can contrast your whole story. It can compromise your story, whatever. People will compare it to the real organizations. The organizations and movements may become affected by what you're saying. Maybe you are an insider, and if you write a story that is that close using the names without no analogy, now you may be considered a whistleblower, or you may be discredited because now you don't know what you're talking about. So all of those things impact whether you use the actual names, right? You can use the government, right? As long as you don't use a particular president's name of a real president, you're fine. They use presidents and all of that. But you have to be careful with private organizations. You know, I might laugh at what QAnon says, but they may have a legal organization that may come after me, right? And so even if I come out with a fake QAnon and QAmam, right? And spell it Kamam, right? They may see so much similarity that they may still come after me, right? You may not say the NAACP, you may say the NACP or the NAABP, right? Instead of colored people, you say black people. That may be so close that they don't see a separation. You know, instead of saying Black Lives Matter, you may say African American Lives Matter. And it's not that much of a difference. So you may want to go so far away that it doesn't have any connection to avoid lawsuits. That's one thing, right? And then the other reason why you may use an analogy, or I may use an analogy, is because your story, the discrediting factor, right? You're saying this is what they're doing and this is why they're doing it and this is what they would do, but that's not what they're going to do. And the moment they don't do it, or the moment they say that's not what we said and that's not why we said it, now you're discredited. So if you use an analogy, right, you use fake names, fake organizations, the problem then becomes you avoid lawsuits, you avoid being discredited, you're entering the realm of fiction, right? You can still use the government because the government can be used in stories. They're outside the bubble, you know, as long as you don't use a particular president's name or anybody really elected in the government, you use fake names, you can still say president, you still say governor, you can still say mayor, okay? And you can have them do whatever the hell you want them to do. You can have them be vampires, serial killers, you name it. The range is free on whatever you want to do. I would be careful on putting real behaviors around foreign governments and foreign entities. They're not like America. America's free speech. But you start saying the Russian government is doing this, the Israeli government is doing this, Afghanistan government is doing this, you risk yourself being liable to whatever violence they want to inflict on you, whether it is just Russian hackers trolling the hell out of you or coming to get you physically. I have no idea. I ain't in that conversation. I don't want that kind of heat, right? So I use analogies. Now, even with analogies, you really want to say something about the particular organizations. You want to say something about the particular governments. My story, I want to show how fake news and propaganda really taint an organization and how difficult it is for organizations, say something like Black Lives Matter or My Black Student Union or even Black Neoforce, you know, in terms of trying to get their clear message out there of struggle and revolution and change. But then, you know, you got other organizations who want to stop you, who will then put words in your mouth like we see with right-wing radio and progressive organizations, that they'll say, oh no, they want to defund the government, or they're trying to take over and all this other stuff. And in actuality, there may be a few people, but that's not what like that. But that's not what the organization is about. The organization is clear in what they're saying, but you have propaganda, you've got fake news accusers all chipping away. And I wanted, I don't know what I was going to call it, maybe Confused USA or USA with a question mark, but just to show how confusing it is to be in an organization where you just want justice, you want equality, but the powers that be need to be pushed, and then the people that want to maintain the status quo, who probably don't mean you any good, they don't have a problem with the police beating you up and killing you, are going to use everything they can to take you down, right? They want to lie about you. They want to put words in your mouth. They don't want to listen. And then, to be honest, they don't believe you, right? They drink their own paranoia. They sprue paranoia, and then they drink the damn paranoia themselves, and they get so overwhelmed they want to tell you what you actually saying. And that's real. So I wanted to do something like that, but it's really hard. I'm thinking, I need to go Matrix, right? I need to take it into another dimension, or I need to just use animals like Animal Farm. But those are some of the things you want to consider when you are thinking of using an analogy, right? Because that's really what it is. That's it for today. I just wanted to vent. I haven't done one of these in a while, so I'm not regular podcast. I may do once a week, every other week, once a month. I do it when I think about it. All right. This is Jeff Carroll, Writer's Ramblings. I forgot what I even named it. That's how long ago this has been. But I do put out some good, heartfelt, sincere information. So if you like what I'm saying, you find a benefit, you will connect with it at all. I'm a real writer. I do comic books, I do film, and I do novels. So I'm not a fake person, and I'm sharing you my real thoughts. So that's it. So if you like them, like and subscribe. Other than that, peace.